Well, moving on to our special influencer for the day, we have with us someone who's very special, who's made her mark in the online space, both on YouTube as well as on Instagram, and has a following of more than 1 million on Instagram. Thank you very much, Masoom, for joining us today. For all those who don't know, Masoom Minawala has been an influencer. She's worked with more than 500 brands out there and is all set to make waves in the future for fashion and lifestyle as well. Thank you, Masoom, for being a part of this show. I want to begin by asking you about the last couple of years in terms of how your journey has been, because to have such a strong following in fashion and lifestyle really takes a lot, isn't it?
Absolutely. Firstly, thank you so much, Priya, and your story for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure and looking forward to speaking with you. Yes, it's actually been very exciting. I started this journey about 10 years ago. So, frankly, it's been 10 years of consistently creating content almost every single day. So there's obviously been so many learnings along the way, and there's been so much adoption and adaptation because from the time I started, we've seen the universe of content creation completely change and completely evolve. Right, like when I started off, it was just blogs on websites with which were like text heavy, and now we've moved to pretty much 15 to 30-second videos being your core piece of content. So I think it's been a very, very interesting journey. But I think through it all, I've remained true to my passion for fashion and being able to share that message with my community.
Masoom, tell us a little bit about your content creation and how you really decide what viewers really want to watch, because there are so many diverse topics out there in fashion and lifestyle. So, how do you make that selection?
So in terms of creating and curating my content, there's actually this principle of four that I follow, which is whenever I'm planning a piece of content, I want to ensure that the content either educates my audience, inspires my audience, helps my audience, or entertains my audience. And I think this makes it very easy for me to bifurcate it sort of mentally to ensure that any piece of content that I'm creating is actually serving my audience in some way, right? And I think that's when I actually saw a major sort of growth in my audience as well, is when I started creating content that was very savable and valuable for my audience, right? So I'm not talking about savable in terms of they just hit the save button. What I mean is that what is the type of content that they would actually save in life to come back to later, that would actually help them in their fashion or sartorial journeys, to make it easier for them, whether it was across fashion or lifestyle. And I think that's when I saw a real shift. It's pretty much like when you create a product which serves the consumer, right? When you're creating a product that is going to change the consumer's life, and you commit yourself to creating that product with so much dedication and commitment, you're going to see that kind of response and support from your consumers as well.
So, Basam, I want to talk to you about the kind of different formats of content that's available and that you have to create 15-second reels, 30-second reels. How challenging is it to fit into these different kind of formats and create content that's engaging for audiences?
So, Priya, honestly, more than the duration of the piece of content being challenging, I think what's really challenging is the ever changing formats of content, right? So, see, when a new piece of content, like say Instagram Reels, is introduced, it takes a little time to actually grasp that format, to firstly grasp it, and second be able to conquer it in a way where you're able to produce. In the best and most efficient and most impactful way for your audience. And by the time you feel like you've probably nailed one piece of content, there's another one. So I think this is what's challenging, right? The ever evolving sort of universe. But of course, the challenge is what makes it so much more exciting. I think if we were just all doing something that we were really good at, and there was nothing to really challenge us, I think it would get boring. So I love the challenges because it keeps me on my feet, it keeps everything exciting, and it also kind of brings about different spheres and different features and characteristics of us and our business, right? So even with Reels, which is like primarily short format content, something that I really started doing is a lot of different series on Reels, right? Because It's much easier to basically take a larger series and then bifurcate it into smaller videos, which is just 30 seconds. And that gave birth to a lot of series that are now signature series to me, like the India I Love, where I talk about Indian handlooms, and I with one reel I pick up one Indian handloom. Or I have another series called Iconic Indian Women, which in each reel we talk about iconic Indian women across different fields. So iconic Indian pilots, iconic Indian scientists, so across different fields. And I think this different type of format has given us and given me and my team the liberty to explore and innovate as well.
Right, Masoom, I want to talk to you about the kind of, when you talk to people, everybody wants to be an influencer out there. Everybody wants to have that kind of following that you do. So, what does it really take to be an influencer? Because we're seeing a boom of the creators economy out there. So, what do you think are maybe top one or two things that you feel you need to have in you to be an influencer?
I think you need to have the courage to be different. Because this is one industry that celebrates individuality. It celebrates your unique voice, right? There are so many players in the market, but there's still space for so many more because you just need to have your own unique voice. So if you have the courage to be different and you have the courage to own that voice, um, that is something that's going to really, really take you far in this journey. And I think another thing I'd say is that consistency is very, very important. Today, I have the opportunity to sit with you and have this conversation with you, and it's come after 10 years of creating content. So it's not overnight success. Yes, you can gain fame overnight. And I've seen so many amazing creators grow their community overnight, and that's amazing. It's brilliant, and I'm so happy for them. But to maintain that community, right, to build that connection, to actually be able to drive that ROI, it's going to take consistency and it's going to take time. And everyone has to remember that.
Masoom, when it comes to being an influencer, there's always a juggle between your personal life and professional life and what you want to show your audiences. So, how do you maintain that balance, or how do you strike that balance? Because there are lots of aspects of your personal life that you do not want to reveal out there. So, were there inhibitions when you created content or reels accordingly?
Absolutely. So I think this is something that I constantly battled with. Frankly, not so much in terms of the content, but just simply because I'm posting so much about my life. So it's just like, how do you kind of have live and be able to manage a personal life while your professional life is such a sort of amalgamation of the two, right? So something that I do is that when I come on social media, I don't use social media for personal reasons. I use it just for professional reasons. So even if I'm posting personal content, which I'm happy to do once in a while, I never post personal content in real time. I'll always post it later. So I'll make sure that I'm enjoying the moment or really being able to live in the moment. At the same time, I'm not as much as I love fashion, I do talk about a lot of different things. I do talk a lot about my thoughts and my perceptions. And, anyone who follows me knows that I'm an extremely, like, I love my family and friends, and they're a very, very important part of my life. And they feature quite often in my content because they're such a big part of my life. But I think a great way that I look at it in managing it is one is to never post in real time, to be able to actually savor that moment in reality and in the present. um two is i Two is I ensure that whenever I'm posting something, there's always some sort of a messaging that I'm really trying to portray. Three is that there's always like a hint of my um sort of mission that comes across even through my personal posts, right? Whether I'm trying to impact somebody's life in a positive manner, or I talk about the importance of family for me, I make sure there's some sort of an end message that comes out of it.
Well, on that note, we're going to do a quick rapid fire with you, Masoom. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, if there's one thing that you wouldn't leave your home without, what would it be? And you can't say mobile phone.
My credit card.
If you could add one syllabus in school, what would it be?
How to manage your finances and investments.
If you had to choose one go to outfit, what would it be?
One go-to outfit is oh my god, that's really tough. I have a ton of go-to outfits, but I think as of now, cord set. I love cord set, so that definitely
Okay, do you prefer summer fashion or winter fashion?
summer fashion.
Okay, one fashion trend that you would like to bring back.
Something I'd like to bring back is skinny jeans.
Okay, one accessory in your opinion that completes the look.
Earrings, always.
Okay, or what is the biggest risk that you've ever taken in your life?
The biggest risk that I took is actually moving from my e-commerce business and taking up blogging full time. That was the biggest risk I've ever taken.
Describe your spirit animal.
Tigress, for sure.
Okay, what was your favorite game as a child?
Ludo.
If you weren't what you are today, what would you be?
I think I'd be a photographer or an interior designer.
All right, Masoom, on that note, you performed very well on your rapid fire. Thank you very
Thank you.
much for being a part of the show. And we wish you all the very best with your blogging and vlogging and your Instagram. Thank you so much.